And so if we're talking about one specific show or one specific community program or whatever it is, I want the language to be consistent, sort of our institutional voice to carry throughout all of those different styles on the different platforms. And people want different types of content, right, across those platforms. Right. So we have to think in that way of, when we're planning a campaign or just day-to-day marketing, how we're going to tweak everything to fit into these different slots. So the consistency is really important, and especially because we are this well-known, prestigious institution, I don't want to mess that up, right? So I don't want to step outside of the bounds of what people have come to expect from The Pillow. And so that is really the most important thing.
Knobbox Dance presents Dance Behind the Screen, process production and social media. Hey knowers, welcome to our podcast. We are Knobbox Dance, a social media-based company. We strive to say no to the box. We connect interdisciplinary art, technology, and artists to re-envision the process of art making and sharing.
Hello everyone, this is Martheya.
Hello everyone, this is YeaJean, your host of today's episode of Dance Behind the Screen podcast. We are on a Skype call with Meczywor, the Director of Marketing and Communications for Jacob's Pillow.
Jacob's Pillow is a National Historic Landmark, recipient of the National Medal of Arts, and home to America's longest-running international dance festival, currently in the midst of its transition to becoming a year-round center for dance. Each festival includes more than 50 national and international dance companies, and over 500 free and ticketed performances, talks, tours, classes, exhibits, events, and community programs. The school at Jacob's Pillow, one of the most prestigious professional dance training centers in the United States, encompasses the diverse disciplines of contemporary ballet, contemporary, tap, photography, choreography, and an annual rotating program of flamenco and Spanish dance. The Pillow also provides professional advancement opportunities across disciplines of arts administration, design, video, and production through seasonal internships and a year-round administrative fellows program. With growing community engagement programs, the Pillow serves as a partner and active citizen in its local community. The Pillow's extensive archives, open year-round to the public and online, chronicle more than a century of dance in photographs, programs, books, costumes, audio tapes, and videos. The woman who helped with the website redesign, among other tasks, and now the goal developer for branding, outreach, marketing, and communication for Jacob's Pillow, the Director of Marketing and Communications at Jacob's Pillow, we welcome you, Abigail, to our podcast.
Hello.
Hello. For those who don't know, can you briefly describe Jacob's Pillow and its relevance to the dance world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that little intro really covered a lot of it, but I'll sort of give a brief overview. We are the longest running international dance festival in the country. We are approaching our 87th season this year. And so that's a lot of history going in. We often get a lot of companies and dancers and even staff members coming in that say, oh my God, I've heard about Jacob's Pillow my entire life through my dance education.
Of course.
I've seen the posters on the wall and now I'm finally here. And so it's really this really well-known name, and it's this little retreat in the woods in the Berkshires of Massachusetts. And so it's sort of a mecca, if I might be a little intense about that description, but it's sort of a mecca for dancers and for dance educators and choreographers. And of course, as you mentioned, we have our pre-professional training program, the school at Jacob's Pillow, which is also very long time running and prestigious. And we have our archives, which cover a large array of dance history. And we really pride ourselves on being a year-round center for dance development through our artist residencies. And we really try to support the field at large with commissions and convenings in the dance world, and fellowship support for artists. And so we're really an integral part of the entire dance world. I don't think there's anyone out there in the professional dance world that wouldn't know at least what Jacob's Pillow is if they haven't been there.
You are listening to Knobbox Dance.
Exactly. I think weren't off at all in calling it a mecca, and us too, as when we were students hearing about Jacob's Pillow. We're so excited to be able to speak with you about such a prestigious organization. And two, we feel like Jacob's Pillow is one of the only organizations that's really about serving the artists and the dance community across multiple disciplines. So thank you for that. Could you break down your job description and kind of the responsibilities as director of marketing and communications of Jacob's Pillow?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the marketing side, that covers the gamut. So digital, website, public relations, graphic design, social media, advertising. I have a team of a full-time year-round team of 6 in all of those areas. On the communication side, that covers publication, so anything we're printing and putting out into the world. Member communications, we have a really large membership program. And patron services, which covers house management, box office, ticketing, etc. And so I have, for an arts nonprofit, I have a fairly large marketing and communications team to cover all of those areas. And it's really my job to make sure that all of those things are lining up and interconnecting the way they should. And we're covering all the bases, and we're moving towards our next goal at a reasonable rate.
What is your role in developing that and making sure that comes across in all of the different platforms?
Yeah, so I'm deeply involved in reviewing essentially all content that we put out to the world. And then on the branding side, the look and feel is very, very important to us. One thing that's really special about the Pillow compared to other dance presenters is our location. So we are in this beautiful outdoor arena, and we have these gorgeous 100-year-old buildings that used to be a farm, and it's just it's super unique compared to like a venue in New York, obviously. So we always want to capture that and convey that this is the sense of place of the Pillow in any way we can. And so you'll often see a lot of outdoor photos because of that. And we also really want to convey the breadth of dance that we present. And so, I find that a lot of our best performing images are ballet. And I think it's just a popular dance form, right? But we don't want, just because they garner the likes doesn't mean that's the only thing we're going to share. We definitely want to represent everything that we present, from tap to hip hop, modern, etc. And so that's also very, very important. And then there's also the other aspect of bringing in our history and sharing all of our archival imagery and videos as well. So it's a delicate balance.
Don't forget to say no to the box.
We're also a big fan of Jacob's Pillow social media platforms, like websites, for instance. You can get detailed information about events, programs, calendar, YouTube channel, Pillow TV. I liked the day at the Pillow. It was nice to see literally dance behind the scenes. And just, in school at Jacob Pillow, we can hear students experience through their interview and post-show talk. That one I use a lot in my composition class. It's really good to hear artists' intentions, how they create their work. So could you talk about Jacob's Pillow Dance Interactive and the correlation between the digital archive and the content you share on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Dance Interactive is something, I am so lucky to have as a marketer. It's just like this treasure trove of awesome content, right?
Yes, we feel the same way as educators. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially it's our very much ever-growing collection of dance videos filmed at Jacob's Pillow from the 1930s to today. Plus, we also have illustrated essays as well now, which is really exciting. Everything that happens at Jacob's Pillow is filmed and archived. It's a legacy that has started in the 1930s with our founder, Ted Shawn, and continued to today. So that is a lot of storage of video content. And a little bit later, we added themes and essays. We also have a fun guessing game on there where you can see a video and sort of guess who it is or what the genre is. I don't know if you played with that, but it's kind of fun.
Need to check that one out.
Yeah. And so it's definitely, it's curated by the themes and essays are curated by our scholars and residents. And they're designed to give viewers a more in-depth look at our vast digital archives. And they're multimedia, which is cool too. And so, yeah, the Dance Interactive really provides me this sort of never-ending content where, day to day I can say, okay, it's International Women's Day. What kind of content do we have in the archives to connect with that? And of course we have, a million different things I could share. I work really closely with our director of preservation, Norton Owen, who has this steel trap of a memory and can, know exactly what the right thing to pull is for any given day. It's also really great to connect our archival content to what's happening now in the festival. So for instance, I can say, okay, this year we have Paul Taylor Dance Company coming. Paul Taylor has a really long history with the pillow. And so for our audiences and our fans and our patrons, I can make that connection and say, this company is coming this year. They're on a legacy tour. Check out this video of Paul Taylor the first time he performed at, Jacob's Pillow decades ago. And it's really cool to make that connection. It's something unique that only we can do.
Yeah, like pulling it back to the first time that they were at the Pillow.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to kind of circle back to this idea about deciding the look. So I'm curious about a few things. So is it are you inspired by images that you see? I know you talked about the location being really important. And also I'm just curious about the process of writing the descriptions and the hashtags specifically on Instagram, because I feel like you guys do such a great job of whether it's sharing a quote or talking about who it is, giving us a little bit of history. I'm just curious. Yeah. What is that process like?
Yeah. It's a long process, but as we as we get into each year, into each different program that we're doing, it becomes a little easier. So we essentially will sit down. I'll sit down with my social media coordinator, Sophia. I'll give her a little shout out because she's amazing. And we'll sort of plan out, okay, so here's this thing we're presenting next month. What are the connections we have with it? If any, sometimes there aren't any historical connections, and that's cool too.
So we're like a brainstorm kind of session.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll brainstorm, and we will think about, okay, who is the audience for this? What are some connections we can make as far as what's happening in the dance world? Was this company just at the Joyce? Did they just get a review in the New York Times, et cetera? And try and make that connection. We're also looking at what the company itself is doing on social media. And so some of those hashtags can come from that, as far as, oh, they're really blowing up, with this girls can tap too hashtag or whatever it is. So we want to sort of hop on that train.
You are listening to Navvox Dance.
Could you talk to us a little bit more about Instagram stories and how you're working with that, as it is a kind of a newer tool in Instagram?
Yeah, it's so fun.
We love it.
Yeah, stories. I mean, we're still probably, we're still experimenting. We're probably, 2 years into, really trying to be robust about our Instagram stories. For us, a big part of it is behind the scenes. And so giving people access, we have people following us on social media all around the world, people that have never been to the Pillow. So we want to give them a piece of that. We want to give them access to what it's like to be there. And also give them a little bit of the, exclusive view of what's going on. So during our season, we try and get literally behind the scenes backstage with companies. We'll do takeovers with artists, sneak into, we'll get a little sneak peek of a rehearsal, but also just people on the grounds, our scholars, our staff, what's going on, what are we eating, does the restaurant have something really yummy that day, or or are there, a little kid dancing with their parents at our outdoor performance, things like that, just to really show the full experience of being at the Pillow for people that can't physically be there. And it's also a really great way to entice people that can come to come. So yeah, we really, and then during the rest of the year, when we have, for instance, right now we have artists in residence, we have different programs in our schools happening, our local schools that we do education programs in, and different things in our community. And so it sort of shifts from what's happening at the Pillow to what is the Pillow doing right now, giving you a little piece of that. Yeah, and this time of year, it's funny. A lot of people really love to see the Pillow in the winter, because it's not something you usually see. It's not, images that we usually share because our season happens in the summer. And so we have a crazy snowstorm and we're buried in feet of snow. We find that those stories are actually really, really popular because people are just shocked that winter actually happens at the Pillow.
And it looks like a postcard too. We've seen some of the images. It's just so gorgeous.
You are listening to Navvox Dance.
Have you seen a shift in how people consume dance with the evolution of social media?
I definitely have. I think it's become this viral thing that we can consume constantly on our feeds. I also think it's made dance less of this mysterious thing. It's no longer just a finished product on the stage.
Absolutely.
Social media really allows you to see the process of the choreographer, or see the work that the dancers are putting in, and, and the physicality and the practice that they're putting in and how hard that can be. Also the life of a company, some of those fun behind the scenes moments where they're just hanging out or like doing something silly. They're real people. They're not just dancers on a stage.
Exactly.
So I think it really has changed it, where we're seeing more of that celebrity almost come out of it.
Break the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it also has increased awareness for the art form of dance.
Yeah, I think we definitely agree with you. That's part of, why we're starting this podcast, is to continuously take people behind the scenes of what's going on so it can be, more accessible. We're curious if you've received more applicants for some of your programming because of the promotion that you guys do on social media.
Yeah, definitely. We actually get direct messages all the time about how can I apply.
Oh, great.
But yeah, it definitely has increased awareness of just the fact that we have 2 different theaters. We have this Inside Out performance series outdoors, that's free. And that has really acted as an entry point for a lot of companies to enter into the Pillow and, and potentially then go on to perform in our theaters later on. And we have actually it's launching next week, so I'll put in a little plug, but our Chance to Dance Viewers Choice Contest is 3 years old now. And that is something that we've started to really expand who has access to apply to perform at Inside Out. Really opens it up to companies or dancers or choreographers that might feel like, oh, that's not for me, or I'm not at that level yet. And we don't want people to think that, right? So it's really fun. You submit a video and then we post the videos on our YouTube channel, and dance fans all around the world get to vote on who has the chance to dance at Inside Out. And we're actually going to do a live contest this year of 3 finalists. Yeah, we're going to have 3 finalists on our stage compete live, and then have the audience favorite be the winner.
Ooh, that's fun.
Don't forget to say no to the box.
So for our audience, if they're listening, how could in the future they get involved in this Chance to Dance?
Yeah, so we usually post it. It starts generally every March. And just follow us on social media because we'll post all around when it's starting and when you can apply. We're going into the actual voting contest part now. So if you want to apply, watch out for it next spring.
That's the images that say, this can be you, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so everyone stay tuned for how you could have an opportunity to dance at Jacob's Pillow.
Yes. And visit our website too. There's a whole page about it.
I'm curious, what do you think is the most important task when it comes to managing Jacob's Pillow in terms of, the digital and social media aspect?
Yeah, sure. Definitely consistency. Consistency across platforms.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, how I review everything that's going out into the world. Styles can differ slightly from platform to platform, right? So
could you give us an example for people who maybe aren't as familiar?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure. So for instance, we're sharing something on Facebook. Facebook can be a little more copy heavy. People are taking their time a little bit more on Facebook, whereas Instagram.
So meaning there's more text.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whereas Instagram, it's really an image with maybe almost no text.
Right.
Just a hashtag or just a very short caption. And Twitter is a whole nother thing, right? So, versus email versus website. And so if we're talking about one specific show or one specific community program or whatever it is, I want the language to be consistent, sort of our institutional voice to carry throughout all of those different styles on the different platforms. So, and people want different types of content, right, across those platforms. Right. So we have to think in that way of, when we're planning a campaign or just day-to-day marketing, how we're going to tweak everything to fit into these different slots. So the consistency is really important, and especially because we are this well-known, prestigious institution, I don't want to mess that up, right? So I don't want to step outside of the bounds of what people have come to expect from the pillow. And so that is really the most important thing.
Cool. And if you had to share one piece of advice for emerging artists using social media, what would it be?
Oh man, just one?
Or two?
Yeah. Okay. I'll do two. One would be invest in your content, high quality photography, videography. That's going to make a huge difference.
Right.
And it doesn't mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but, just really thinking about it, being purposeful in what you're sharing, and taking the time to tweak it and not just kind of be willy-nilly. And I guess my second one would be tell more stories, go behind the scenes, don't be afraid to show a personal side, of your art and of yourself.
Cool.
That's great advice. Could you I'm just going to keep digging deeper with you. For your advice to tell more stories, what does that look like for you? So if people want to do that, how could they physically practice that?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it looks like showing a process. And that doesn't mean you have to give. So for instance, if this is an emerging dance artist we're talking about, right, or a choreographer, it doesn't mean you have to give away everything you're doing. But people are generally interested in how you do what you do. And so, and what that day-to-day looks like. So whether it's, a little piece of something you're working on in the studio, or it's, going to pick out the costumes for your, debut, at the theater, or chatting with, a little piece of a conversation of chatting with one of your dancers about, a particular part of the performance, or anything like that. I think it's really it's really important to give your followers that little enticement. And it also, and it also offers them more of an understanding of the work. So they're going to appreciate it even more.
What do you think is the emerging practice or influence of social media in dance? I know you've touched on it a little bit, but yeah, we're just curious.
Yeah, I think it's showing dance not on a stage. So showing dance in places that people recognize readily. So whether that's a public park or your downtown area or a museum. It's these pop-ups, right? And I see a lot of that, a lot of people doing that in many different ways. And it's really fun and interesting and sort of, sort of a contest to see like who's doing what now and where are they. So I think that's definitely a big emerging thing coming up right now.
Cool. As we wrap up, we have our flash forward portion where we ask all our guests to answer 4 questions in a flash. Sorry. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. Flash forward.
It'll be fun. Question 1: if you had to recommend a resource to our audience, what would it be?
Yeah, Capacity Interactive. They are a digital marketing company out of New York that work exclusively with arts organizations. So sign up for their newsletter and follow their podcast.
Awesome. What was the first dance you saw?
Australian ballet at the Sydney Opera House when I studied abroad in college.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Next, do you think social media has a positive influence on the dance world? Yes or no?
Yes.
What is your favorite social media platform?
Instagram.
Yay!
Well, Abigail, thank you so much for really taking us literally behind the screen of Jacob's Pillow and all the work that you and your team is doing to bring such wonderful content to us, even though we don't have to travel all the way up to Jacob's Pillow. So we just wanted to say again, thank you so much for sharing everything with our audience. But we wanted to leave a space. Could you share with our listeners your social media handles and the website, and how can everyone stay connected with you and Jacob's Pillow?
Absolutely. So jacobspillow.org, Jacob's Pillow on Facebook, at Jacob's Pillow on Instagram and Twitter.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much, Abigail.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks for taking your time to tune into Dance Behind the Screen, a bi-monthly interview series where we go behind the screen to question process, product, and social media. Be sure to follow us on social media at KNOW Box Dance. See you next time, and don't forget to say no to the box.